Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am Amanda and I'm playing with my Counter Kit Challenge Kit and the Freaky Fast Friday formula from the scrap room, which is this. And I am going to scrapbook Easter pictures. So happy Easter if you celebrate. It is Easter today. So these are of my youngest of a couple years ago and lots of different Easter pictures. I'm also using some Scrap a Sketch printables, and some of these are painted garden, and some of these are this year April. And so I'm going to start with this one, which is my 8x8 piece, and my youngest is doing the Easter egg hunt, so the Easter eggs makes a whole lot of sense, and so that's pretty cute. I thought about this pink one. I really like this wood grain chevron colored painted wood one. I don't know what it's called, but I like it. And so I'm looking for some other colors. That purple one, maybe. The rainbows, she's pretty young here, so the rainbows kind of work. You won't see a lot of the rainbows because I'm going to do these in the 4 3x3s, and they are going to end up being photo mats, but you'll see a hint of the rainbow. But the purple's pretty. Then one more of those. And then I'm debating on what do I want those strips out of. So this one definitely. So this is going to be one of the 2x10s that I need. And then I'm going to grab some more papers and take a look. So this green one's going to work pretty good. And so this is going to be also 2x10. And then I just need one more for the prompts. Sorry, my brain kind of stopped working at the second for what words were coming out. So I'm going to use this blue one that I've used on some other pages, and this one is going to be my 2x9. And those are all the papers that I'm supposed to have. I do sneak one extra paper on here a little bit later. And then here's the background. I decided I didn't want that one. It was a studio calico piece of paper. And then I thought maybe about white cardstock, so I'm going to cut this down so it's 12x12. But I'm not so much liking that either. But now I have this one all trimmed ready to go for a different page. So I did struggle with these sizes for a bit. I don't know. It might have been easier if I had chosen some of those long skinny strips to be more a similar pattern or the same paper, but that's okay. So I was thinking kind of like an L shape, but I didn't like that. So I try a bunch of different things out and I faff about. I pull in this piece of paper, which is from Hip Kit Club, which goes better with the tones, but I don't want to use the blue side. So I play with the blue side because it reminds me of Easter eggs and painting Easter eggs and that kind of stuff, but meh. And then I try laying them out like this, and I don't like that. And then I decide that instead of offsetting the pictures on these little pieces, I'm going to cut my pictures down so that 4 of them are on this, and my pictures end up being 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, which I didn't make you watch because this actually got to be pretty long. And then I noticed that the orange stripe on the other side is probably going to work. So it ties the orange in the Easter eggs and the orange in that wood grain paper. So I'm like, yep, the orange can work. I thought about putting the pictures in a line. That would have worked if my one piece of paper wasn't 3x3s and it was, or the 3x3s were different maybe, because that is the full length. But as the same print, it's kind of getting lost. Like, that would have worked, kind of. I don't know. And then I thought this like this, and no. I think if I had stacked those all to the left where that green piece is, this would have worked better, but I wasn't feeling it, and I didn't know what was going, like why I wasn't feeling it. So just trying different things. Okay, so maybe this, maybe that, maybe this here. Sometimes these come together so fast because of the sizes you need, and today it did not for this one, but did not, which is okay. So I do cut out quite a bit of this process because I do like sit with my head in my hands and stare at it for a bit, and then my head in my hands and stare at it for a bit. I wanted to use these papers. I wanted to do, like, I wanted it, but oh man, it was hard today for this one. So I did make those into banners, and I like that more. So yay. And then this green one maybe on this side. And so that's okay. I'm going to try it over here again. This blue one over here. Then I need a longer one. Those two have more similar colors. And because of this all being multi, it doesn't stay on this side. The wood grain will go over to the other side. But I'm looking at it like this. There we go. That's a bit better. Only because I liked the more solids together. Do I know why? No idea why, but I did. And then thinking maybe lay it like this, but that 8x8 block was really bothering me for not housing all of the pictures on. And so had that been 9x8, it would have worked super well. Or had I had just the 4 pictures and not the 5 pictures, it would have worked really well. But I'm trying to get this one longer picture on. And this is where I go off of the formula a little bit. I add one 3x5 piece of paper just so that I can mat this, because it not being matted was driving me a little bonkers. And it's my page, so mostly Freaky Fast Friday formula, but it is what it is. I can do what I want. There's no rules. So, and I will post, when I post this in the Facebook book group for the album, I'll just put in the comments that I added one 3x5 piece of paper so that everybody's aware. But yeah. And then I'm thinking, maybe, but I don't know. So I thought of overlapping them. I thought of staggering them. I'm okay with the banner pieces, so I'm going to put the banners on because I need to commit to something. And yeah, we'll commit to this to start with. And so using my T-square so I can get the tops of these on straight, I'm only putting a little bit of this tape on just so that if I need to move it, it's not as hard to move it. It's still pretty sticky tape, so it's not meant to move, but if I have to, I can. So kind of committing. So then this one's going to overlap over top of the blue, which I'm happy with. And I'm going to put this Easter egg paper on. And I do put it on so it's not lined up at the top to start with. And then I am going to rip it off right away and make it all lined up on the top. But this one was a struggle. Yeah, definitely a struggle. So that would have been okay. Looking at it now, had I put that up on Fun Foam, I probably would have left it and been totally happy with it being a different, like not lined up on that top. But yeah, was what it was. It's trying to get those 3 on in a row, because I did like them all 3 in a row, but it was not long enough. So one more inch. I need 1 more inch there. So then I decide I'm going to do 4 in a grid and then this one off to the side. And I like that better, just because I can. And here's where I decide that I need to move this up. So very carefully from the other side it comes up. It does rip the green paper, but it gets covered, so not a big deal. And that piece in the middle there that gets ripped from the stripe, not a big deal. And then, so this is going to go back on, but straight. Yay! There's that little bit of white, but I came back the next day and you can see I took a little bit of the piece and glued it on there, but it also gets covered up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures and that one over top, and not a big deal. And then I decided this was still bugging me, and if I made it a banner, it would be a really wide banner, but I thought maybe that would make me happier. And it definitely made me happier. So I'm just marking out where the middle is, which is 4, and then taking that dot and lining up each of the corners, and it's stuck down pretty good now because this is the next day. And yeah, it is the next day. This paper is not coming up down with the tape. Sometimes within the next like 15-20 minutes that tape will allow you to like move it a little bit, but you obviously saw how much it ripped. And then, so yeah, I'm just gonna cut right on the page. So this, you do have to be careful for you to do it this way. Not ideal, but it is what it is. And then my little scissors to get into that point. There is a little bit of glue there too, so I'm going to use my finger and rub a bit of it. I am going to come in with an eraser, like just a white vinyl eraser, and it'll pull up the rest of that too. So not a big deal, and that I'm liking more. And look it, I got glue in, or my tape runner. So yippee. So then this one's going to go on. I'm just going to use my T-square and line them up. There's about, I'd say probably 1/4 of an inch in between. I'm going to measure it and double check, and I think it is 1/4 of an inch, but I like using my T-square for like grid kind of things, just because it helps with the alignment. Otherwise it would not be straight and it would drive me nuts. So, and then this one goes on, and I'm just gonna kind of center it along that, like the 2 vertical ones for this one. It's not perfectly centered, but that's not going to bother me because the title is going to go right where I almost put that Easter egg down. Now I'm going through some of my Easter stuff, and look at all those pictures that you can kind of almost see but not. Those are all pictures for Easter to do eventually. Yeah. And that chick is something my daughter made the year before this to decorate, or the year after. I don't know, I'd have to look, but I still have those to do too. So I pulled out this little chipboard that says Easter Greetings. It was from a dollar store pack that I've had for, probably at least 10 years. And then I went and grabbed some ribbon, and I decided this 21, although it's pretty, was too bright. And so I like this, but it's see-through, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out. But I figured it is the right colors to go in the tag hole, or this, yeah, I guess it's a tag. And so I'm just gonna tie it in a knot, and that's super cute. And it's gonna go about there. And then I have all of these eggs from the cut apart sheet from the printables. I think that one was this year, April. And so I'm gonna just layer a bunch of them up. I thought maybe some at the top corner and maybe that bunny there, but that bunny is not gonna stay. I'm gonna use this purple one down here. And all the eggs, because it is an Easter egg hunt. And that they're the right colors because it's part of the same collection. So just getting that sorted out. So I'm going to use a little bit of foam dimension underneath the bunny so that I can glue its nose to the happy, or the Easter greetings chipboard, and that should work out quite well. Off screen a little bit here, I'm just roughing up the edges because my cut job's not perfect. And on that goes, and then a little bit of more tape on this. That's really old dollar store adhesive, so I'm just gonna put extra adhesive on there because I want it to stay. And then I didn't plan out this blue egg very well, so I put the pink one down, and then I'm like, oh, the blue should not go on blue, so I'm just gonna sneak this one up, put it behind the bunny. The blue one's gonna go over here. Awesome. The pink one there. It gives a nice little cluster for my title, which ends up being that little chipboard piece. And so that's good. Not going to use that bunny like the blue one. I thought about these rainbows for half a second, and then I wanted some journaling on this. So typically I don't journal for Easter. I thought about using those lines, but I didn't want to. I like the cleanness of that stripe. So now I'm looking for something else that I can use for journaling. In the meantime, I thought about stitching the top to add like a little bit of a detail to tie those banner pieces together. And then I sat with that for a little bit. On the bottom of the screen you can't see, but there's a piece of white cardstock right there. And I was just wondering if I put the cardstock underneath, would I like that more? And I definitely do. So I am going to cut a piece of cardstock that is half an inch. This ribbon says it's 5/8 of an inch, so this half an inch allows it just to cover that inside bit with still having the texture of the edge of the ribbon. And so I'm just putting my tape runner there and putting this on, and then it'll get taped to the top with the edges folded down. So on that goes. Just eyeballing it to make sure it's straight. That line at the top isn't straight with the orange, so I'm using the banner pieces that I have as a guide, and then those are just bent over, and thought about maybe adding a little bit of this in a different spot, but I don't need it. Using the eraser to get rid of that last little bit. Using a pin to pin this ribbon together so it's not everywhere. And then looking for journaling bits. So there's this one that's the same as the wood grain, but I thought that was too similar. And this purple one pulls in some of the purple that's on the other side, and I'm going to use that, which is great. But I am going to switch these two pictures around, even though the one is her standing and kind of looking off the page now. I did want to journal about what's going on in that bottom picture. So my journaling says, this year you made the Easter Bunny its own little resting spot, complete with ramp, bed, and treats. You said he deserved a Santa treatment. So putting that in. This kiddo did that with the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny, and yeah, all of them needed Santa treatment, which means like treats and a place to rest, and it was quite cute when she was little. Letters and all sorts of things. And this is just going to get nestled just over top of the picture a little bit, but not so you can't see what's going on there with the ramp. And then I felt like it needed just a little bit of something else. So I thought maybe I could pull off one of these, and they're not going to. I don't have any Easter eggs left that I've printed. I could print some more, but I just wanted this one to be done. So I did find this banner piece, and so I'm going to tuck the two edges on either side, so it does draw the attention to the journaling just a little bit. So the green is the same green that's on that right side, so it pulls that in, which is perfect. And then I'm using the lines in that journaling box to help me line it up. And then looking for just something else to go in that spot. And so these printables are both from the Painted Garden and from this year, April. So a little bit of both in there now, and which is fine. You can see that some of them I still have to cut out. Some of them are definitely cut out. Pulled this orange bit in a banner, and this is going to work really well. So this short itty bitty one's going to go on this side, and then I'm going to make this one go on this side, which is going to get trimmed off a couple times, but yay, we're almost there. If you've made it this far, thank you, because this is a long process today. But that one's on, and so the embellishing is now done. And I did clean up for a second there, and just roughed up those edges, and then I wanted a little bit more dimension on the flaps, so I'm going to use some glue dots underneath the corners, and that one goes in the middle. The middle one's going to stay. This middle one is not going to stay, but just trying to get a little bit of dimension on the bottom here. So there's a little half one there, a little half one here, and then half one under here, and I'm ruffling up the edges a little bit more. Half one here. Gonna check and see if I can make this middle one move, and it will. These are really sticky though. They are not really my favorite, but which is fine. To each their own, right? And then that one is not going to move. I was at risk ripping that paper, and I did not want to try and sort out getting it back in underneath. So it's going to keep that middle one, but it's still going to get a half on each of those corners. And this is it done. Yay! So a little bit of a close-up. There'll be some pictures right here, and there's my title, and then a little bit further out with the picture, which is super cute. I'm happy how this came together, but man, sometimes it takes a bit longer. There it is all together. Thank you so much for watching today. If you want to watch some other stuff, there's a couple other things here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a happy Easter. Have a great day.